the role of the media that might have kept Kılıçdaroğlu from getting a greater score than he did?
Definitely. That's what I was writing rather often about, the lack of media. Basically, the lack of media is a huge black hole in Turkish media landscape. Now, most of the media segments, up to 93-94%, is directly or indirectly controlled by the presidential palace of Erdogan. And this was something that needed to be addressed by the opposition, especially. A second dimension is the disappearing or vanishing of the private news agencies in the past 10 years. There were 3 or 4 of them, rather well-networked news agencies that were instrumental and key for monitoring the election results up until recently. So only monopolized by this stage, monopolized by Anatolian agency, official agency that's controlled by Erdogan regime, made things even more confusing. And the other agency was tiny agency, not well prepared, and what we witnessed was a clash of data last night, fighting against each other. And there was no center, there was no credible reference news channel like this one, or reference newspaper that people would turn on. So the confusion, anger, frustration, everything blended together last night led to this. So media role was key. Everyone should keep it in mind.
What about the election results themselves? Have there been any allegations of fraud?
Well, this will haunt these elections as well. The referendum, key referendum in 2017, in April, was accused of being rigged, which to a great deal was true. And this one is also similar way, because there is no possibility to monitor the outcome, the facts that come out of the ballot boxes. It's the only authority is the Supreme Electoral Council, YSK, whose decisions, rulings are not appealable. So that is also an institution controlled fiercely by Erdogan's palace. 11 judges, out of which majority are appointed by him. And that makes also this election result being constantly questioned by the opposition and the critics.
And what about the fact that it has not yet officially been announced that there'll be a runoff? What do you read into that?
Well, there are still a tiny amount of ballot boxes. And this may take a few hours more. Maybe by tonight we will have known the final result announced by the Higher Electoral Council. So that's more or less clear now, as the opposition spokesperson Faik Öztürk recently, just a few minutes ago, declared that there will be a second round in a runoff.
So what will happen between now and this runoff, May 28th?
This will be interesting, because this is the first time the Turkish electorate will go to a second round. They are not used to the French system. So the pattern is a question mark. But given the fact that the self-confidence conveyed by Erdogan last night in this so-called terrace speech, and the way he declared sort of semi-victory, and also the domination of the ruling bloc, AKP and MHP, ultranationalist, quite clearly 320 some seats out of 600, means that Erdogan will have the wind in his sails. And on the other camp, it may be a little bit complicated to explain, but opposition bloc is composed of 6 parties. There were negotiations of share of the seats in the parliament of these tiny parties, and generously main opposition party delivered certain amount of seats to those parties. And now it's done. They have their seats. So it may lead to an unwillingness to organize and mobilize the electorate to vote for Kılıçdaroğlu. For them, more important thing was to gain seats in parliament. And the other thing is that people can feel frustrated and because of the result, and vote for stability, or maybe not even participate in ballot box voting.